guys, welcome back to another episode of the Raw Uncovered Truth of the Awakened Soul with Nicole. And I'm here today with the fabulous creator of the Sobbing Unicorn. So he is very popular on TikTok. He does have an Insta page, but again, TikTok is like where he's at, and it's literally Sobbing Unicorn. Totally check him out. I think he's amazing, like incredibly amazing, and he's going to stay hidden behind the scenes today, but he will definitely share his point of view and how he even got started on this. So I'm going to pass it over to you and ask you to kind of introduce yourself without introducing yourself.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Nicole, for having me. I apologize for having the camera off. We were talking about it a little bit before we started rolling, but it's mainly like a job matrix thing for me now. And I hate that about the matrix, but the matrix kind of demands that we toe the line, especially when it comes to corporate America. So I'm sort of being respectful of that now. I need the job. But yeah, when it comes to the Sobbing Unicorn cartoons, I've been doing that. I guess I started around November and mostly posting on TikTok. I tried Instagram and it seemed to like shadow ban me or something. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And eventually maybe I'll try to post there again. But in the meantime, yeah, I sort of consider it from my point of view, at least, it's a very personal meditative process because these are all hand drawn. So I get to kind of sit there instead of meditating. I'll just sit there at my drawing board and draw these things. But then also, I try to contribute to what I think is happening on the planet right now. There's a lot of sort of spiritual fireworks, from my perspective, at least, happening. And, I'm trying to do my best to join the other light workers out there and bring some more love and light to this place.
So I will say yes. Thank you, first of all, for agreeing to come on with me because that is like huge in itself. So I know you're thanking me, but I'm thanking you at the same time. As far as yeah, the Matrix, and if you do open yourself, like let's say too much, people are not ready to hear what you have to say. People view you differently. People, you know, um, just it's a whole other world, right? Once you start awakening, it's like a whole other world
It's
out there.
such a complicated layer cake, this planet. There's so much going on. And from my point of view, right, like I would never want to come across as proselytizing or telling anyone else what to think. But from my point of view, like the core thing is it's love, right? It's love. At the end of the day, it's love. We are in a loving universe, believe it or not. But that's the top of the layer cake. And if you start slicing the layer cake and going down, 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 down to where we are in the matrix, there's a lot of chaos and, even some sinister stuff, in my view, going on. And my hope is that with some of these cartoons, uh, I can shed some light on this, at least from my perspective, and maybe try to help the situation.
Yeah, so well, you're definitely doing a good job. I mean,
Thank you, thank you.
I didn't even realize that this was like so brand new. Like I didn't even realize how new you were to doing this and like putting yourself out there, which I mean I
Yeah,
think is awesome. Like the cartoons themselves are awesome. Some of them like just make me crack the fuck up. I'm not even gonna like
good,
it's like I read it and
good.
I'm like, oh, I
I,
so
I
get
told
it.
someone I told someone in the comments recently, they're like, that made me snort. And I said, that is the sound of the matrix dying. When you snort, when you can look in the face of all this darkness, which there's so much of, and laugh at it. Now that doesn't
Yeah.
mean to belittle it, right? But if we can laugh at it, that is what incinerates the dark, in my view.
It is. I think that it's all about that. It's all about being able to laugh about what's going on, the complete chaos. It's like spiritual warfare, I guess, but it's like not even spiritual anymore. It's just like awakening warfare, like coming back to
Mm,
oneself. And
right.
it's insane. And like and the journey that like you go through to get to where you are. So I say this with many people, and like a couple of people that I've had on the podcast is that yeah, I mean, there are days where you're just like sitting in a corner shaking, going, what the fuck's going on in the world? Like what, and like
Yes.
you have like 20 million downloads coming in. But
Yeah.
like, the next day you're laughing about it because you're like, oh my God, like this is what we have to go through in order to like help shift humanity. Like this is
Yes, you're
crazy.
right. And that is why, in fact, I called the namesake of my cartoon Sobbing Unicorn. And for me, that sobbing is the nexus of it. It's sort of where laughter meets tears.
Yeah.
At that juncture, I think is where we can break through as the light, because there's a lot to cry. It's sort of like you cry so hard at what you witness here, you laugh, and you laugh so hard you cry.
Hmm.
It's sort of astonishing what we're witnessing here. But I think that meeting point of the laughter and the crying gets us somewhere. It moves the spirit somehow to reach that meeting point.
Um, I agree with you 100% on that. Where did I want to go with that? I had a whole big thing and then it just like it literally just left. I love when that happens.
It'll be back. It'll
I'm
be
like,
back. It's just floating in the ether now,
I'm
waiting
like,
for you.
where did
You'll
that
find
go?
it.
Um,
Yes.
like, so, well, the fact that like you use this as a meditation tool also, to express, like what you're getting, right? Obviously, I mean, you're getting these downloads and what you're how do I explain this? Well, your translation, right? You're translating it into a cartoon,
Right.
which comes across hilarious. But yeah, no, I mean, as far as like the sobbing effect, I mean, the name itself is just amazing to me.
Thank you.
But like it is. I mean, you are literally like we're sobbing like of past versions of ourselves. We're sobbing for, a world that, as we awaken, we remember what the world was supposed to be. And you're looking out into the 3D matrix and you're just like, oh, like this is not what, the Earth Project was supposed to look like. So
Yes.
it's and there are days where like it even hits me very hard. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like I remember like coding, like literally like coding temples, and like here I am, and I'm like stuck here, and I'm just like,
Oh, that's a beautiful memory to have.
oh my
I'm not
God.
totally connected with a lot of my past lives as of yeah, I get little
I was about
snippets,
to
but
say not
not
yet.
like that. I've gotten little snippets, but definitely stuff has been happening for sure. And I just want to call back something you said earlier. You said the word spiritual war, and I would describe it that way completely, utterly. I think we are in a spiritual war. I think that the Lightworkers, the Starseeds, whatever name you want to use, they're gradually awakening to that idea at varying levels. And I'm not here to judge anybody's perspective of that. But it's an interesting dynamic because you got a big contingent of the planet, which I think is not in the spiritual war. They're more like they're here because Earth is where it's happening, but there are those of us I think who came from outside or from somewhere else to deal with this problem we're facing here. That's my own view.
That's your view. Okay. Well, your view is kind of spot on. I mean, from what I know and I remember. I like joke about it all the time because I'm like I have so much knowledge, right? Like I know so much. I and like hold all this wisdom that just keeps unlocking like on like second by second. And I'm like I have no idea like what to do with all this knowledge and wisdom because it's like, like whatever. But
Well, you start a podcast, I
yeah,
think. You'd be great.
that's
Yeah,
right. And just
perfect.
spew.
Exactly.
But there are layers to awakening. So yes, so some souls that are here are literally earthbound souls, which means that they come in with contracts that they just repeat like earth cycles. So they're here just like they're not here for a bigger purpose. And again, like, and I say this all the time, like not to offend anybody who's like on a, whatever, but like everybody has
Right.
their own purpose, right?
Right.
Us light workers, star seeds have a bigger purpose. It's not, I mean, for what we go through to be in this position, I wouldn't be
Right.
like ranting and raving about it. Like it fucking sucks. It blows, right? I mean, I think
Yes.
we go down more than anybody because of
Yeah.
like the whole clearing and processing and remembering and blah 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 blah, blah, right? But
Right.
it's like a ripple effect. So yes, some are not awakened, some are in the middle of awakening, some are awakened and not knowing what the hell is going on, which is for what I'm being called, like to mentor them at the moment. Then
Right.
you have like us, right? That I'm also called to mentor because I'm called to like break us out of our shells because we have like a lot
Yeah.
of that, hiding aspects going on of not, of
Yeah.
being afraid to be seen
Hmm.
and all that stuff. But and then there are like I said, like just souls that are just here to have the earth experience.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And then the
Achieve.
aliens. The aliens.
Well, I mean, if you want to think about it, us light workers are alien. I mean, we're all
Right.
aliens. Like what?
Yes. Right. But for me, that's actually, I identify as a star seed. I've just always felt, and I'm older now, I'm in my early 50s, but from very young age, I
Well,
never
you
felt
look
like I
great for being
belonged.
in your early 50s.
Oh,
Minus,
thank you. I
minus the
mean, that's
unicorn.
you're so psychic because you can see me without my camera on. But anyway, yeah, no, it's from a very young age, I never felt like I belonged here. I always felt like a foreigner, or I felt like an alien here. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of starseeds can identify with that. But from my perspective, that's the larger story that's happening here. It's really Star Wars what's going on here, although we're not privy to that as sort of the ground floor humans. But there's a lot going on upstairs out of sight. And interestingly, now at this moment, that's some of that's beginning to come to the light. So grab your popcorn. That's going to be a very interesting divulsion or disclosure or whatever word you want to use, but it's all coming out. So let's see how it plays out.
It's funny that you say that because I keep thinking like once they like release the files or whatever they have. I mean, I really don't pay attention to the news, but I know like that's like something that's coming. And I'm just gonna be like recognizing the person and be like, oh, there goes Ben. That's why he never returned. Like he was stuck in a glass for the case may be.
Yes. Yeah. I think a lot is going to be revealed. I mean, I was never a religious person, so I'm not like an expert in the Bible or anything, but I'm pretty sure that's why they call it revelations, right? A lot will be revealed, and we're entering that period, if not already quite firmly in it, it feels
Yeah,
like.
it's cool. I mean, I think it's cool anyway.
It's all
Um,
the things. It's cool. It's terrifying. It's horrifying. It's amazing. It's like wow. I think that's why when you read some of the other spiritual people, everyone sort of describes this as the greatest show on earth or something, and it feels that way.
it's definitely like I always say the Earth Project is like the wildest. Watching the awakening, the humanity awaken is like the wildest thing I have ever, encountered because it is. It really truly is. And like how, some collectives are just stuck and like they're just so refuse to like see the bigger picture or refuse to like acknowledge that okay, like this we really are in a simulation. We really are in a game.
Yeah,
Like the whole point is like, we woke up first to help you guys shift, right? To like we saw the veils, through just the limited like just we had to go through what we had to go through in order to
yeah,
see it, and it's like, guys, if I could do it, you could do it. Like it's not rocket science, it's just
yeah.
really opening your eyes.
Yes. So look, I'm doing this cartoon right now, actually, kind of on this topic, and it's basically about rats. And one of my characters is named Phil, and he's called Blue Pill Phil. He's a blue frog, and he sort of represents the unawakened and unhealed masculine in a lot of ways. And
Yeah.
and the cartoon starts with him sitting in the dark, and we hear Sobbing Unicorn saying, "Phil, what are you doing sitting in the dark? And do I hear some rats?" And he's like, "No, go away." And when Sobbing Unicorn flips the lights on, there's just rats everywhere. And then Phil's reaction is like, turn the lights out, man, turn them off. And then he turns them off, and Sobbing Unicorn says, well, I think there might have been a spiritual lesson in there somewhere. And Phil's like, yeah, the light causes rats, is what he decides.
Okay.
Right. So the humor in there is that, well, the lights didn't cause the rats, the lights just made you aware of
Illuminated.
the
Yeah.
rats, illuminated the rats. But another layer of this layer cake that occurred to me kind of as I was thinking over this is I don't think I'm here to wake anyone up. I think I'm here for the rats. I'm here to incinerate rats. And by rats, I mean the hatred, the cruelty, the self-loathing, these dark vibrational. Sorry, you probably hear my kids screaming. I apologize. The screaming kids, yeah, no, that doesn't count. But anyway, you know what I'm pointing at? Those rats that if you really are honest,
Hmm.
and this is another problem we have on Earth. We're not honest, right? But if we're honest and we're not bypassing, or we're not turning a blind eye, or we're not just closing our eyes, we will see the rats are everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. The rats are pouring into our streets. They are sitting on our heads. They are eating our popcorn. The rats are literally everywhere. And I think one problem this planet has is it doesn't want to admit that, right? We don't want to admit that the rats are sitting in my own hair. But
Right next
I
to
think
us.
as light workers, we have a challenge because if you go in and start turning the lights on, people get really mad because they don't want to see the rats.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm here for the rats. I want to get rid of the rats.
And that's a great like analogy. And you still don't think like that's that you're meant to wake humanity, like you're helped to shift humanity. I mean, that's exactly what you're doing. Is shifting
No,
humanity.
okay. If I can awaken some of humanity, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. But I consider my work mostly to support the light workers. So
Oh,
I'm
which you
supporting.
without a doubt do, hands down. And
Thank you.
that causes the ripple effect too. So you have to
Yes.
understand that, right? The more that we're seen as a collective, right?
Yes.
The more that ripples because the more like, it's like, oh, it's okay to be us. It's okay to be, it's just it's the ripple effect and that's what comes down into the collective.
Yes.
But it's interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned Star Wars because so many times I hear, Star Wars represents the Orion Wars, and I've heard that
Hmm.
like over and over and over, like for a
Yes.
good like year and a half, like even in my head. And then like when I started seeing
Yeah.
like people writing that, I was like, oh, and there goes my job. And then when I like kept seeing people like see like write that. I was like, oh my God, it's true then, right? Like, and then obviously, like, it's true anyway, regardless of what you read and who you follow, it's either it hits
Right.
you or it doesn't, right? Because I mean, there are so many people, I'm going to kill my dog. There's so many people that that have
Don't
these
do that.
that have these huge followings, that I don't agree with.
Yes.
That
Okay.
and I'm like, they'll say things and I'm like, but that's not true. Like I know, like, that that's not true. My body is saying, no, that's wrong.
Hmm.
So,
Well, yeah, there's a lot of distortion and misinformation flying around. And again, I want to be very careful to say I'm not saying, and nothing I'm saying I'm suggesting is objective truth. It is my current perspective, which is always adjusting. That's another part of sitting in the dark, I think, with the rats that we as humans fall into a little bit is getting caught up on, like what is definitely true for sure for always. And it's like, well, no, from my point of view, it's a point of view right now. This is what I see using my discernment right now. But maybe tomorrow I'll see something new and my perspective will evolve. So, keeping that open mindedness, right? Which I think light workers are very good at, which I commend us for an open mindedness that helps us
it's
to
not easy.
expand into. No, no, it's not. It's not. But the other side of the coin, falling into sort of a programmed closed mindedness, is what I think keeps us trapped.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, without a doubt, I could like watch videos that I did probably like a year and a half ago, and it's like what is it? Like I'm not second guessing myself. I'm like things that I didn't even know back then, So it's
Right.
like I sound like, but like I am one of those people that will totally admit it, right? So I'll be like, oh, I didn't even know that back then, like now, like I see the difference, and like I'm constantly right. We're always evolving. We're always getting downloads. We're always, getting these new like ways of just visions and knowing what's real and knowing what's not. And it's like the filtering system. So it's like, things
Yes.
that I would talk about like last year and like to a certain extent like I know even more of now. And it's like, oh, I really did like, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like basically like I'm calling myself like, oh, like you talked shit back then, but like now, you're on a different perspective because now like see it differently. But I was like never like set in any, like even now, although some things like I know like are like true facts, but like a lot of like the original like Earth code, Earth Project coding, like I have, like I know I hold, and it's like little by little, like it'll come out. So like I could talk about like certain things, and then like I stop because I'm like, the codes aren't like fully in, so I'm not going to like stick my foot in my mouth is basically, like what I'm doing. Or I will say, listen, this
Yes.
is what I know as of now, like I'm sure it'll shift and change, but it's just interesting like how you perceive things, right? And then everybody perceives them differently. And like how like everything like evolves. It's just like a constant like evolution of everything, of wisdom, of knowledge, of like of any of everything. Like I always say, like you're always evolving, in a human body. Like like you're just always evolving.
Absolutely. And what I see when you describe all that is, in some ways, you've just described creation. Because what else is creation but a journey of perspectives, a growing awareness, shifting perspectives, growing knowledge. And I think almost no matter what religion you look at, I think people describe it as sort of source returning home to itself, which is simply perspective and understanding. So more and more and more understanding as we move back towards where we all came from, which is this all-knowing eternal state. So as a fractal of source, you're describing it perfectly.
That's actually like I love the way you sum that up for me. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I was saying. Um, yeah, I mean, like just that's all we're doing, right? Is we're literally coming back to oneself, and the process of doing that for some is like harder than others. Like it's just like it's more, like and the fact like you said before, you had said that even when you were younger, like you didn't feel it. You felt like the alien here. And it's funny
Right.
because like
Right.
I started to write my book like how many times and like I always stop, but like the one like chapter that I have down is my childhood. And that's, how many times I would sit there and I would be like as young as 4 that I could remember. And I would sit there on the floor and like stare up at my dresser and like look at my birth certificate and start crying because I'm like, it doesn't
Oh.
make sense to me. Like it doesn't like I was constantly and like for years, like I just looked at that thing that was framed on my dresser and I was like, it doesn't make sense. And like from a good
Yeah.
like 4 to at least 9, I was like, I'm adopted. I didn't really resonate with my parents, but I was in like a lovely childhood upbringing to begin with. We won't go there, but like it was
Gotcha.
just it
Mhm.
was like yeah, but like I was just like I didn't, but then again, I had visitors very early on and I didn't get it. Like I heard the voices. I, felt
Mhm.
the energy of like, like in like chaotic situations that were going on in the house. Like I would feel the
Yeah.
energy like, like on my hair and my head and like trying to like put me to sleep and say, okay, it's time, it's time for you to rest. And just like I would see all the
Mhm.
like colors and auras of everything. I mean, it's funny because like now I don't, but
Yeah.
like when I was little, I did. I saw the auras of everything. And it's just crazy. And then I like became obsessed with Alf and I became obsessed with the Ewoks and like there's so
Yeah.
many things that like resonated with me that I'm just like, oh my God, it felt like home. So it's like,
Mhm.
oh, it's
Totally.
like home.
Yeah.
But
Well,
go ahead.
sometimes I talk to these higher dimensionals. You might as well. But I remember one thing the Andromedans said to me once. They said that frequency undulates. And by that, I think they were talking about this dance of evolution where perspectives go up and down like a sine curve, right? So we are on this vibratory spiral. So evolution doesn't work in a straight line. So it might be that you are seeing these lights and having these experiences as a child. And then the curve dips down a little bit so that you can experience that. And then it shoots up again, but with a new awareness, a new adult perspective. And I think probably everything in the universe works that way. There's not a lot of straight lines. They undulate. They move up and down back towards home.
there is no straight line, which I think is funny because like I think I even did like I put out a video the other day trying to explain like, how right now, especially like with the Schumann resonance going crazy, the astrology, like the solar flight, like just everything. And I'm like, you're clearing, but you're receiving. So it's like you're integrating, you're releasing, and you're embodying. And it's like all at the same time. It's simultaneously. It's not like you're just doing one at a time, which knocks people on their ass sometimes because it's just like
Yep.
you're truly all over the place because nothing is just like 1, 2, 3. It's not, there's no steps. There's no like, okay, we're gonna get through this and then we're gonna go here. It's you're literally integrating, embodying, and releasing all at the same time on different levels. So
Yes. So we're learning how to be multidimensional in that sense. And you do all the spiritual stuff. And at the same time, then you got to go take your kid to school. Very 3D. So, you're navigating multiple densities of reality. And I see this in my young kids. I have three youngsters, and I think we can all. I'm older Gen X, right? But the young kids seem to be able to like multitask in this way that the older folks never did. The older folks would just read a book, right? But now my kids are like, they're watching TV, but they're also playing a video game and they're also drawing at the same time. And that reminds me of this idea of navigating 3D and 5D and talking to the Andromedans all at the same time. And I think that's maybe how the higher densities work. More is happening simultaneously.
it's funny. I'm not so far off from you in age. So I mean I get the whole thing. I want to say like when it comes to the kids, I had such a problem with this last year. Like being like how I mean like I was always on this journey like I said like as a kid but like it obviously intensified and intensified and intensified over the years but like 2020 the end of 2024 had to be like a whole other level for me and then like going into 2025 so like I was having so much and like I became like aware of like my galactic heritage and all that was coming in and I was literally sitting in council meetings with the Egyptian High Council while doing
Mm.
laundry while hearing my
Yeah.
kids ask me what's for dinner
Yeah.
and I was like what the like what's
That's
going
amazing.
like I'm like
That's so
whoa
cool.
like I mean it's cool but it's not because like you're like where am I like you
You can
kind of
ask
have to
them what to make
be.
for dinner. You got any quick, easy recipes? Toth, along with your other wisdom. And that emerald tablet of yours, you got any mac and cheese recipes?
It was and he was like a very big one. Like, I mean, I remember he like, and I said this story, I think on an episode like back in, I want to say like April of 2025, if not like way before that. I remember he came to me and he's like, all right, Nicole, it's time for you to remember. Like, let's go sit in the chair. Like he would put me in like this chair, like not in the physical sense, but like, in the this in a different realm. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm hungry. I want to go like eat something. So I went into the kitchen and I attempted to, I guess, make myself an avocado sandwich or whatever it is, big sandwich, whatever it was that I was cutting. And the knife literally went flying out of my hand. Whatever
Ooh,
it was went flying on the
yeah,
floor. And I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down so you could
yeah,
take me into the chair and we're going to get this
yeah.
rolling. Like, all
They're
right,
not
I get
messing
it.
around. They're not messing around.
No, when it's your time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But
But yeah, we have. There's a lot of other dimensional presences here, of course, at this time, which is just another interesting facet of this layer cake. And when you start tapping into that, the complexities of what's happening here on this planet right now just skyrocket. And it feels like everyone seems to have a vested interest in what's going on Earth right now. And sometimes when I just am in that sort of very human point of view, when I'm just like, dude, I'm just trying to like get my kids to school and like making avocado sandwiches, you're saying. I also struggle with that. I'm like, dude, just leave me alone, man. Leave me. Can I just make a sandwich without you flying the knife across the room or whatever other cosmic shenanigans are happening down here?
it's funny because like a lot of people can't relate, right? But I mean, you can relate. It's like, can I have 5 minutes? Can I just have like five
Mm-hmm.
minutes? Can we like reschedule this for 5 more minutes? Like,
Yes.
it's very interesting. I mean, I remember I from like 2018, I finally learned how to like stop it after like in order to go to sleep. I mean, now it doesn't come in as strong, but they still like bother me. Like if something needs to come in, they're like, all right, it's
Mhm.
it's coming in. Either like write this down or just remember it because like this is happening.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's funny, like I just think that the whole thing is funny. Like even when I'm like being like annoyed, as I say, like and when I do ignore it and I like, put it to the side, the voices just get louder, and
Hmm.
like very like aggressive. Like it makes it seem sometimes that like if I don't move at that very moment, like the house is gonna explode and I'm in it. And I'm like, do we really need to like, make it seem like so dramatic? Like, okay, I
Well,
get it. You want my attention. Like I get it. But
well, I'm not. We probably have different guides or whatever, but I'm fond of telling everyone to fuck off. I don't have any problem saying that to anybody in the universe, ETs or celestials or whatever. And one thing that I think is at this moment, at least, a prime part of my own perspective is that we humans, the Starseeds and the Lightworkers, we are the badasses of the universe. Okay, we are the Rockies in the ring. Those guys, that's like the guy in the Rocky movie, splashing water in your face and checking your mouth guard and all that. And it's like, okay, just get lost, dude. I'm down here getting punched in the face. And the reason I'm here is because I'm Rocky. You're not Rocky. So shut up. Now, when I need your help, I'll ask for it. Now, I'm very nice about these things. I try to be a loving person and all that, but we're getting hit in the face down here as the prize fighters. And it's the reason they sent the best in the universe. That's one thing that I really try to express through my cartoons as I look around at these light workers. Because to me, including you guys are the most powerful badasses in all of creation. And we've forgotten that. We've forgotten that because we had our memories stripped. We were born naked into this world with nothing, right? A lot of us had very, very trying childhoods because that's the light worker journey. And so we grow up kind of doubting ourselves, and it's time to wake up and remember no, no, man, we, the earth angels, are the most powerful angels in creation. That's my firm belief. And it gives me a lot of joy every day to show up at my drawing table and to push that message hard. Like, you guys are amazing. I'm very honored to be here with the rest of you because this is no easy task. That's why they had to send the best.
I love that. You definitely do come across in the cartoons as supporting the light work as well, like 1001%. But it is interesting. Like, and I do say that because I think like, especially like when Anubis comes through and I'm just like, are you here? Like, are you like, are you here right now? No. So just
Yeah,
like back up for 5 seconds. Like I'm the one who's here. Like just
right.
like I mean, and all I do is say, help me out then in the physical 3D. Like I get like I'm supposed to be aligned and I have to be aligned for this and I have to be aligned for that. But I'm like, if you want me to keep like being aligned and like you gotta like, like help me out here.
Yes.
I can't create miracles, although I can, but like not when I'm dealing with like 3 kids, right? And I have 2 teenagers and an 8-year-old. So it's like talk about, just it definitely keeps you grounded, I would say, because I mean it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's just it's interesting having kids and then going through the awakening, for sure, hands
Oh, yes.
down.
I could talk for hours and hours on that subject, for sure. As if it weren't enough dealing with the Matrix and all the other, the reptilians and the deep state and all that stuff. You got these very high frequency, what is the word? They're
Beings,
rainbow children now, or what's the term for them? The
awakens children, very much more
yeah, they're
awakens
all very
children.
awakened. They're very high frequency, and so our generation, I would say, if I can describe you that way, is kind of like we're the chain breakers, right, between the old and the new, and that's a tough place to be. That's a tough place to be. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. But yeah, these new kids, man, they are not here to take crap from anybody, including their parents, which is rough on the parents because I'm here to try to help them. But my kids are younger than my kid. I got a 2, 4, and 8, so they're very young, and that's tricky to navigate.
That that is tricky to navigate. However, at least you have like bedtimes, right? They still have set bedtimes. I would switch with you in a heartbeat. I'll take your three and then you take my three because I gotta tell you, like there's no set bedtime for the teen. The teens are just,
You,
cranking
you're
music and
you're
screaming
totally
and
right. I have no idea what having a teenager is like. So,
but it's like I used to be able to like I'm like, oh, I'm going to put them to bed. And then, like, I can meditate and then I could do this and I could do that. And it's just
mm,
like, oh, I can't
mm,
because, like, although I could put the 8-year-old to bed, like, the other two were just screaming and blah, blah, blah. And, like, how many times I'm like, you guys
yeah,
could just, like, lower it a little bit, like, and
yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
it's pointless. So it's just like,
This new generation, I think, this is an important point because I think part of the reason, like one fundamental reason for what is going on this planet is this lack of responsibility. Okay. All right. I'm going to back up even more. Do you mind? I'm going to back up even more because I was
yes,
watching
but I like that. Go
Spider-Man.
ahead. Yeah.
All right. I was watching Spider-Man with my young kids, right? And there's that line from the Spider-Man movies: with great power comes great responsibility, right? You know that maybe you're not a Marvel
Mhm.
fan, but they
I'm
repeat
actually
that.
a huge Spider-Man fan, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, me too. Okay, so with great
Batman
power,
more, I will admit,
let
Batman more,
okay,
but it's fine.
yeah, fair enough. So with great power comes great responsibility. And the truth is, I think that is backwards. It is backwards. It is actually with great responsibility comes great power because it
Mhm.
is our ability to respond that creates power. And what we're seeing on this planet is a complete shutdown of responsibility, where a lot of people who, whatever word you want to use, blue pill, asleep, or whatever, and I don't mean this in a judgmental way, I just mean it in an observation of what's happening way. There seems to be this desire to sort of shove responsibility to someone else. I don't want to decide. Government, you tell me what to do. You tell me that we need to go bomb someone, fine, I'll do that. Or I don't want to use my own discernment to determine whether aliens are real or not. I just want the government to tell me. I want to turn on the news and have them tell me. So it's this backing away from responsibility that in turn turns our own power off. And circling back now to the point I wanted to make about these kids are responsible. They will not let their teachers, their parents, or anybody tell them what to do or what to think. And that's power. Now, that is very hard to parent, but that's power. And maybe that's what we need on this planet. We need people to take their own power back by responding, by taking the ability to respond back into their own hands.
Mhm. I agree with that. I mean, it's also a lot of self-awareness on an individual part as well, and the shift on that perspective. But as far as like the no authority, how about that? Like the not wanting the authority. I mean, I was like that as a kid. So like I
There you go.
like that's the whole starseed method, right? I mean, like there's
Yes.
no authority. Like you're like, whoa, 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 like who are you
Right.
telling me? Like what? Um,
Yeah.
but it's funny because both my teens were like that as kids, right? I mean, like they were very all three of them were very like connected and very very well, I'm not going to get into that, but like as they grew up, like I guess they got too sucked into everything else. And
Mm-hmm.
like now I'm like dubbed the crazy one or whatever the case may be, but like they're on their
Mm-hmm.
own little tangent. Whereas the
Sure.
8-year-olds will like constantly hold everybody accountable. And I think it's hilarious, like, especially when he talks to his dad, he's like, oh, you didn't show up to my game today. So this, how are you gonna like, handle that?
Right.
Like, and
Yeah.
I'm just,
There you
and I
go.
look at him and I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. That is truth to power. And we need more of that around here.
But I'm like, it's funny. But yeah, the more that they come in, I mean, I know my good friend just had his baby, I want to say September, August, around
Mm-hmm.
there, just this past August, September, and the cutest baby, but like radiates like I tell him all the time, I'm like, you have an earth angel, and he's just like, okay, whatever. But I'm like, no, dude,
Mm-hmm.
you literally have like an earth angel. Like I could like I mean, he could sense me, and he's only seen me twice, but it's like he
Yeah.
could, and I could sense it through pictures. Whenever you're like, I see him in the car, like I could literally sense like the amount that this kid holds, and he's just a baby.
Mm.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's amazing. Like it's amazing because they're coming in with more knowledge,
Yeah.
um, more wisdom. But I have to say, like 70s babies, do you fall into that category? Or are you like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, I do.
okay. So us 70s babies came in with it had to be like the most darkest of times, which is why a lot of us came in to begin with. So it was very
Yes.
dark. Like we came in during a very, very heavy period.
Yeah, and we also, I think, had to keep our heads down because the dark was in complete control back then. And anyone, and you just open the history books and you see anyone who raised their hand and started talking about the light or whatever, yeah. So you had to be very brave, and you get a lot of rocks thrown at your face if
Yeah.
you were lucky. If you were lucky, because a lot of those light workers didn't make it. And you go back further in history to the Inquisition and all that stuff, and our friend Jesus and what happened to him, you can see that the light hasn't been very welcomed here for eons. And gradually that's changing, but still, there's a lot of resistance to any talk that circles what I would consider the truth.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had in the 80s, you had when psychics emerged and whatever, they were called crazy. They were called, like
Yeah.
don't believe in that, don't believe in the chakras. I mean, and that's still like a thing, but like of course, like now more people are aware of what's going on. But like you couldn't like talk about the chakras. You couldn't talk about a lot, you couldn't talk about anything. And
Yes.
even as a kid in school, I would ask questions because I'd be like, it wasn't right. Like to me, like I knew, right? And
Yeah.
it had to be like 8 and 9 where it like really truly like hit me a lot because I just remember being in second and third grade asking the most insane questions and my teachers like hushing me, like just shh. And I'm like, no, no, no. But like, because I used to be like, well, like the star system, I just remember this like so, so vividly.
Yeah.
And she had like a poster of the star system up in our third grade classroom. And I'm like, oh, that's wrong. And she's like, like, and she's telling me that I'm wrong, like just
Yeah.
do what you're supposed to do and this and that. But I'm like, it's wrong. You're missing like a lot. And she was like,
Yeah.
that like I don't know what you're talking about and like eventually sent me to the office like it
Yeah.
was first it was go sit down in the corner and I went down and sat and then I was like and I'm still like looking at the poster like it doesn't like matter where you put me it's still wrong.
Yep. Yeah, well, what is that Orwell quote? Don't believe what you see with your own eyes. I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, speaking truth to power was looked very down upon. Again, if you got lucky, I sometimes I tell my kids, I'm like, man, when I was your age, we had a principal walking around my elementary school with a giant paddle on his belt. Now,
Mm,
literally, now that just seems so barbaric to a modern mind, but that's literally something I experienced. And of course, you go back further in history and it gets more and more barbaric, of course.
yeah.
But this idea that we can just sort of very easily sit here and awaken and open our minds to new perspectives, I think is missing the big ingredient that there's a lot of very forceful repression happening here. And we're not just invited to open our mouths and, oh, Nicole, tell the class what you think of the universe. It's like, no, shut up. You're going to repeat what I tell you exactly, or serious consequences and very serious, not imagined, right? Like we have people in our society, you just open your eyes that sitting on the side of the road because they didn't want to play by the rules. So the consequences are very real. And that's something I think we got to be careful not to dismiss, especially as the light and those of us who are awakened. It's hard in this world to just raise your hand and speak out of turn. That's what I think we're trying to melt with the force of our light and our love. But there's a real force there that doesn't want this to happen.
Oh, without doubt. I mean, we're still like I say in a puppet show, right? There's still the puppet master,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
doing their thing, which it was obviously is the reptilians. I mean, 1001%, no matter what you want to call them, or if you want to break them down into their subsections, but like that's what it is. And it's the control, it's the education system, like it's just everything. I mean, like I see what my teenagers are learning, like especially my junior, right? She's a junior in high school and she's in Catholic high school. and the things that they are still teaching to this day in the Catholic high school, like Catholic religion, like how abortion is not only a sin, but it's like an
Yeah,
even more sin if you were raped and you got aborted because
yeah,
it's your fault that you got raped. And I'm like, how are they still teaching this? Like, how is this like how is this okay to be teaching now in like 2026, as a
yeah.
thing? But even going back
Or
to
you or you used to have to prove your innocence as a witch by not drowning,
wow.
right? Or by wait, no, is if you drowned, you were innocent, which is a fantastic catch 22. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Hmm.
I'm not sure the reptilians for sure. I'm with you there. I think it goes a step higher up the ladder or lower down the ladder. There's some energies behind all of that. That's my own cosmology. But like the reptilians are also not totally at the top of the food chain,
Oh
in
no.
my view.
No, they're more like the stormtroopers.
Mm, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah? Did I nail that one?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, we got to take out Palpatine.
Like that's yeah, it's interesting. And it's funny because like a lot of like the downloads that I was getting last year of like remembering of like my last like really high level mission, I would say, that was not Earth related, but semi Earth related, because I'm not an Earth soul. I'm not an earthbound soul.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. Was going through like this one like whole Egyptian thing before like Egypt was even Egypt. It was like ancient
Yeah.
Egypt Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they would come across and like in Star Wars form, and I'm like, Star Wars, really? Like, like
Yeah.
to like, who the people that were showing me, the people, the
Yeah.
beings. And then
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay, I could flow. And then like, they'd move the characters and they'd be like, do you understand? And I'm like, understand, like I get it, like, but I was
Yeah.
like, Star Wars, okay, like I could roll with this, but like it's just it's funny how like some things come across like the way that they do and like the way that like you're shown. So your logical mind, doesn't like start questioning a million, 20, like 20,000 million things. But I don't know, they're
Yeah,
like
or
to me,
maybe
yeah.
they gave us maybe they gave us Star Wars on purpose, right? To help us remember some of that.
Oh, they gave us lots of things on purpose. I just recently watched, and this was like a couple of months ago, Doctor Strange. And I thought,
Mm.
did you ever watch it?
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it.
So like I was like, oh my God, like as soon as she was like she hit him and like he went flying back. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. I was like, I could totally relate to that. But it's
Yeah.
funny like how I mean I still never watched The Matrix. Um
What? Really? How'd you escape that?
Everyone's like, how did you not watch The
Oh,
Matrix?
you
I
need
just
to go watch The Matrix. It's just a good movie. Yes.
haven't watched it. I mean, like I know like the blue, like I know like bits and people. Like I've never
Oh
watched
yeah, highly
anything.
highly recommended. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's funny, but like I mean, I just recently watched Doctor Strange, and I was like, oh my God, like how did I not like ever watch this?
Yeah.
It's just funny like how like there are certain things in certain movies that are like spot on, and like in TV shows too. You could tell because
Yes.
like your body reacts differently is what I like to call it, right? So like
Hmm.
when you are watching something or listening to something, your body reacts, right? It's like the
Yeah.
flutters in your heart, right? That your soul,
Yeah.
what like you want to dub it, whatever. Your body, and you just like have that sense, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
Like it's either the oh, okay, I get it, or oh, okay, now I remember. Like
Yeah, if it resonates at all, right? And I think that's the challenge I've been having for sure. And I'm sure this is not unique to me among starseeds, light workers, whatever you want to call it, but just finding anything on this planet that even resonates anymore is like, wow. There's not a lot.
there's not a lot.
Yeah.
There's not a lot at all. I mean, there are days where I mean, I give you credit for still being like, out there and having like that 9 to 5 because I can't do it. And like there's some days where I'm like, oh, I wish I could just go back and be able to do that. I can't, there's I cannot be in that situation. And it's funny because
Yeah.
like even when I'm at like games, because my little guy does deck hockey, so it's outside all the time.
Yeah.
And I love the hockey games. Like I'll, like I love it. I love being outside because like if you're inside, like you feel like, like all claustrophobic and everybody's emotions and who's that? And then you see like everybody's true self and you're just like, oh, good God. Whereas outside it's a lot more airy. But even then, like dealing with like people and like where they hold themselves back and like or the evil that literally sits in them because there's still like a lot of I want to say like well we could dub it reptilian like I wouldn't even say blood. It's just energy, right? That
Yeah.
inhabits a lot,
Hmm.
which is,
Yeah.
where the dark masculine comes in
Hmm.
vividly. Um, it's just interesting because like I mean I could sense it right away and it's like and you could tell by like the way that certain people will just like stare at me and like stare like deep into my eyes and I'm just like, ooh, I felt that, like and it's just
Hmm.
like, all right, but like
Yeah.
two could play this game because I'm not gonna let you, like do that either because I'm like high and that's when I like use the high ranking, right? Because I outrank you as a reptilian. So like
Right.
let's go. You want to go? Let's go. Like
Right. Well, yeah, that's why I liked my rat metaphor from earlier. I think of these as energies hiding in the attics. And some of them,
mm,
us, are aware of the rats and have done the shadow work to get rid of them. And some of us aren't aware that they're there and they are there, right? And then those of us who are sensitives, like yourself, can start to pick up on the scurrying in other people's attics and you see it.
yeah. It's as soon when you said that the wind blew and like everything went flying, because I was like, ooh, truth. Like
There
that's
you
like,
go. Yes,
like there you
exactly.
go.
Yeah,
Um,
those energies are real. And, we can learn to master them and control them, but only through awareness. And that comes through perspective.
it's very funny that you say like, the awareness and perspective part because I always say like a lot of people ask like, how I do what I do or whatever how they word it, but I'm like I don't fear anything, right? I don't fear anything of the
Mhm.
unknown. I don't fear
Yeah.
anything that I can't physically see. Like I don't fear it.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm inferior, right? Even if I'm in a human body, which can be like a little bit of a downfall, but like I know like still on some level, I'm still a light being and can kick your ass, right?
Yes.
But it's the human that I actually, have the fear to because the human could switch at any moment. The human could, use their free will. The human could like literally embody the reptilian in 2 seconds, and you could see it by
Mm.
the look in their eyes. And it's just like it's
Hmm.
funny because I fear nothing of the unknown, no being that I cannot physically see, but I could, that I talk to like on a daily, or even like, ones that come in that I'm just like, nope, like
Yeah.
and they exit. But it's the human because I'm like the human is
Hmm.
really is unpredictable.
Fascinating. I'm so curious about this topic. I've thought about it a lot. I'm not saying I know one way or another, but I've speculated that I wonder how much free will we really have because we've read a lot about these soul contracts.
Mhm.
And I'm curious. I'm not sure. Part of me believes I'm not sure that I do have the free will to do certain things. I think I probably signed some contracts coming down in here, and some of this is written in the stars. Now I have room to navigate, right?
Mhm.
Within these channels of destiny, but the destiny is there. So, and I think this is something in my speculation, right? I'm not saying I have proof of this, but I would speculate that the reptilians and those sorts of entities are very aware of this. They're very aware of these sorts of divine rules, which we're all
Oh,
navigating with or within as
1000%.
souls. And so they work within those rules, bend those rules, put in the fine print in the contract, all that stuff. But the contracts are there. I think, who knows, really, I guess.
Okay, so I'm gonna to bounce back and all right, where to start? So the reptilians, like I guess I want to say like cosmic law, right? So there is a
Right.
there is a cosmic law where, as um distorted and chaotic as they could only go certain, like to a certain ability, right? So
Density.
I think that's
Okay.
why like us as light beings, like on even in human form, don't fear them, right?
Yeah.
On a non-human form, because it's like, okay, like I outrank you. So it doesn't
Right.
matter. Like you are like the, low on the totem pole. And yes, I'm saying that. So like I could hear them like coming in at the moment and like I'm like, no. Um, as far as free will, so this is interesting how you said what you said, right? Because I agree, and it goes like so much deeper, right? Because why would anything be simple, like in the universe? Which I think is
Hmm.
funny because it's like, oh, you wake up to something and you're like, oh, like you think it's like simple, right? Oh, we have soul contracts. Oh, this and that, whatever, whatever. And you're like, why can't it just be like that? No, there's like 8 million layers to the soul contract
Right.
and like why it is the
Yes.
way that it is. I think we have free will, right? To a
Yeah.
certain extent and to who it is. So I think us as starseeds, although I have seen starseeds that refuse to awaken. Okay, so I will put that out there.
Yeah.
Um, but for certain, bunches of us, I guess you could say, we
Mhm.
have free will to a certain extent because we also have that clause of we won't go back and we won't stay stuck and we're not
Right.
going to shut down. So no matter what you throw at us, even though like we take, as I like to say it as the soul contracts are like the high road, the middle road, the lowest frequency, so like we may
Hmm.
like, be on the middle and drop down and then drop up or whatever, like we just keep going. Like there's certain groups of us that just have to keep going no matter what, right?
Hmm.
So our free will doesn't look like, oh yeah, I could, go outside and I, can go to bed, but it's like we have that like urge of intuition, right? Like our higher selves or oversouls, however, you want to word it, is just like you're going to bed and you're like, okay, I'm going to bed, you know?
Hmm.
But it's just a matter of that's why I'm like you could it's soul contracts to me are so amazing because like I would have said it was like easy peasy like last year even maybe yeah maybe like over a year and a half ago I would have been like oh you sign this old contract you come in like you do your contract and then you leave right? Because that would be like the easiest way. But no, it's not like that. It's like you have like, oh, and then you could die this way if you're on that timeline. And if you're on this timeline, you die a certain way. And then you could exit out this way, and then you could exit out blah 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 blah. And then you could do this, that. And that's why you're constantly jumping timelines. Um, because they're all playing out and they're all there. Like it's so like quantum level. Like to me, it's just like, oh my God, it like really truly is like crazy. And like you like you're like, okay, I have to like sit back and like kind of like, all right, and then like look at it. It's like a digital board, and it's like, where are you? And like these are
Right.
your lines. And yes, the reptilian energy can creep in. I think that's the darkest energy that there is. I mean, yes, there's a higher up to them and who controls, their foot traffic, but like to me, that's like the negative, right? I mean, like they're the foot soldiers and like the more darkness is, like the one controlling the foot soldiers. So I mean, like you could, I guess, break
There's,
it down to like the archons, the draconians, the
yeah.
like everybody talks about the Anunnaki. I'm still very, because I remember things of the Anunnaki. So on a personal level, like, from not here. So I'm just like, I'm a little weary of them. I get like a lot of us have like their DNA in a, in a
Yeah.
human body because they helped create the human
Yeah.
um experience. But like I side eye them. But there's, I mean, you know, there's a
The
handful of
Anunnaki to me are like they got Larry and Kevin, Enlil and Enki, and these two idiots showed up at Earth and made a complete mess of this thing, embarrassing all of the rest of the Anunnaki in the process.
I
And
agree
now
with that.
it's a giant mess. So I think the Anunnaki are trying to help the best they can, but these two knuckleheads that came down here made a big mess. But yeah, going back to soul contracts, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're very multidimensional, since our souls are multidimensional. But I think if you look at the record, and again, I haven't gone and read any soul contracts. I'm not that kind of psychic, but just like doing my own research and my own reading, the different channel messages out there, there seems to be a fascinating split between what I would describe as an Earth narrative, all right, where Earth is a school. We're
Mhm.
here to learn, and we sign up for all these, I mean, on the surface, very horrible things apparently to do to one another to learn these lessons. That seems to be one very specific message coming out uh, from all these different sources. But then there's another message, which seems very contrasting, and that's the Starseed galactic message. None of those guys, Ra, whoever you ask, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, if you read the channel stuff, none of them describe Earth as a school. Zero, zero. And by the way, none of them are saying, hey, go murder somebody to learn about love. None of them, not a single one.
Mhm.
That to me is a fingerprint of what is happening here. And to me, it points at maybe a very uncomfortable truth that some of these soul contracts that certain individuals are signing on Earth are maybe not in everyone's best interest.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agree 1000%. I also come across, and I'm going to use me as an example because, well, I always think like the universe thinks I'm a badass, so I experience like everything and anything there is in order to be like the human example of these things. Um, is that being a starseed, right? Like, so I'm awake, obviously. I'm sure that there's many more levels for me to go. I mean, and I say that like sarcastically, but not at the same time because I'm like, all the things that I've just learned in like just a couple of months, like I could only imagine the intensity, but like how much more could there possibly be for me to remember? But like my point is like people will tell me, oh, you have to forgive whatever, that's part of your contract. You have to forgive, you have to move on, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm all about like forgiving, right, for yourself in order for you to move on. But I'm like, as a star seed, I'm on a different level. And I don't mean to like outrank anybody because I'm not, like or offend anybody, but it's like you're talking about like a normal contract, right? Oh, you have to like, heal the people that made your childhood the way that it did, and blah blah blah. No, you have to heal your inner child, right? That's who you
Mhm.
like have to do. You have to heal your inner child and forgive and move forward. Not that you have to forgive the people that did it, you forgive them, but you don't have to participate in their lives, right? That to me is an earth contract, whereas I vibrate above that because I don't need to go through those like particular things. Like I understand now, like I have the awareness, whereas my whole thing is to remember who I am in order to create the ripple effect, not keep going back into these lessons. Like once I graduated that and once I realized that, like everything kind of shifted. So like people are so based on like, oh, like this is your common soul contract, this is what you commonly have to do, with the childhood trauma, this is exactly like, and it's just like, no, 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 like you're not hearing me, like I know my contract. So it's like you're pushing like one narrative when star seeds and just and in individuals in general have different outcomes, have different ways of, it's not repetition, it's not, oh, this is the way it's done, so you have to continuously do it that way. Everyone has their own way of navigating, like of coming through, of being, of causing that ripple effect, because you can't just keep repeating the same patterns over and over and over again, even as a collective awakening. And to me, I find that fascinating because again, the star seeds, the light workers, the healers, the empath, like we all have different different abilities, different, well, we all actually all have the same abilities, but we awaken to like our different abilities and use
Mhm.
them like, how do I word this? And use them the way that we're supposed to, versus like the average Joe who signed up for, to have like this great, romance and great marriage and great life and just, be happily ever after, because there are people that sign those contracts that are just here living out, the Earth project, as I like to call it.
Mhm.
Um, but then, there are others that obviously have, much more thickness and that. And no, and I do remember like even going through this, like the fact that I had to come in like, naturally this time. And I was like, okay, great. And then like I had to like take on the ancestral lineage, but like my whole thing was I all I had to do was like fully awaken and remember who I was. And then it would have clicked off just like that. Unfortunately, it took
Mhm.
me a very long time to do that. So like,
Not easy.
and then like when it was brought to my attention, like all you had to do was wake up, Nicole. And I'm like, great, thanks. Like if like I knew
Yeah.
that, it would have been so much easier. But
Well,
so
potentially some of that divine timing was part of your contract too. Potentially.
yeah. So it's like I had that timeline where I could have awoke, much earlier, right? And like really went full force. I did the medium, as I like to call it, like the
I
middle.
when did you wake up? I woke up with the 2020 COVID crowd, and I'm very grateful I didn't wake up earlier because, gosh, what it's 2026 now, and I'm like, my God, this is brutal, man. Like, it's
Oh, it's
there's
god
that
awful.
kind of funny knee-jerk reaction that I'm sure all Starseeds light workers have had, which is like, put me back to sleep, please. Please, I just want. In my cartoons, I joke about this. It's like, dude, I just want to eat the nachos. All right, just put me back to sleep.
Dude, that's
I'll
why
just
I
eat the
love some of them.
nachos,
I
and
absolutely die when I see them because I'm like, oh my God. I was like, was he like, did he hear me today? Like when I like
it's
watch these
not that being
cartoons.
asleep was great, but being awake is very challenging, is the way I put it. Being aware of all this stuff can really mess with you.
It does. It really does because, you're looking at it like half the people don't, are in a different reality than you. And you're just like,
Yes.
whoa, like,
Yes.
whoa,
Yeah. Yeah, and you question your own sanity. I'm
you
sure
do?
every light worker, starseed went through that, and there's so much. You add to that the, I'm sure, intentional gaslighting and manipulation that's happening here. Even just the words we use. It's not that you're a open-minded critical thinker, Nicole. It's you're a conspiracy theorist lunatic, right? So there's so much labeling and judgment, and so much of that is orchestrated as a measure of control. I can only imagine.
The control, and I think about that all the time. Like like when I see the reels or the memes that say, how much it took to be able to manipulate us, right? To put us under that spell, to think that like this was the right way and we're supposed to eat this and we're supposed to do this and we're supposed to pay these bills that like we're not supposed to pay. Like we're not supposed to have car insurance. We're not supposed to have pay for water, electric, gas. We're not supposed to pay for any of that. Like everything is supposed to be free. So how like the banking system and how the banking system charges us to like keep our money in there. Like to me, it's just like so, like
It,
it did. Like they took so much to manipulate us. Like it's mind-boggling to me.
everywhere. It is everywhere. I give the dark a lot of props, actually, like golf clap guys,
I do too.
amazing job. And sometimes I think, I don't mean this in a pejorative way, but you could look at humanity sometimes, and I include myself in this very strongly, as like almost like animals in a pen, like that novel Animal Farm, right? Where we're the livestock, and the perspective is that, okay, can a small group of human farmers outsmart a bunch of animals in a farm? And yes, they can, because they have higher awareness, higher knowledge, higher technology. And I think that's kind of the way these aliens have been dealing with us. They are just more advanced, and that's not our fault, but we're starting to wake up and see through it.
Um, well, yeah, no, it's not our fault to a certain degree. I mean, like there was a bunch of us like guarding, like everything before the collapse took place and everything happened. But no, but a lot of us actually carry that blueprint of like the guilt of like why the world is like this. So that's interesting that you brought that up because I mean I even had to release that guilt and I didn't even realize that I was carrying it until like recently.
Are you talking about Atlantis?
I'm talking about like so simultaneously Atlantis, the priestess temples and Egypt's Kemet, Egypt, like collapsed at the same time. It was basically like, in
Dominoes.
non-straight, like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
so yeah. And I was holding on to that. I was never playing in anything, so I'm not I wasn't like I wasn't how do you say like I wasn't in like even hybrid forum in Atlantis or Lemuria. I was the one who would go in and like make sure the codes were okay. And so I was never in these simulations.
Mhm.
I was like the one kind of just making sure that the codes were okay and checking the codes and all that stuff. Waking up to that was very interesting. Um,
Gee, Nicole, what happened to the codes, Nicole? Huh? Gee.
That
Well,
was
look, I mean, look. When I can easily sort of go down this rabbit hole and start to glom onto the guilt and also the horror of what the hell even happened here. But that's why I started this conversation backing up to the layer cake, right? It's all love at the end of the day, and this is a game we're playing and a story we're telling. And at the top of the layered cake, it's love, and it's all going back there, even the bad guys, right? So that helps me rest a little easier because otherwise it's easy to, I don't
so
know, yeah,
insane.
start to feel bad about the codes and all this
Yeah.
stuff. But it's a story we're telling, and we are learning through this. Um, Even with these terrible things that are occurring here, there are lessons being learned. And one reason I really salute the light workers is that I think the rest of the cosmos that's not in this little Earth, dumpster fire, they're I think it's very easy for us to look at ourselves being like, oh my God, we stink, we're on fire, we're sitting in a dumpster. But I think they're looking at us the other way around, and they are looking at us like, oh my gosh, these guys are in the pit of darkness, and they are finding a way to find the light anyway. And that's incredible. Oh my God, how are they doing that? And it's like running a 4 minute mile when it comes to the power of love. Like, how can love survive? How can love flourish? How can love triumph in a dumpster fire? you know? So I think we're showing them how it's done. And we're going to be gleaning a lot of knowledge from all this that I think the rest of the cosmos is going to be very eager to learn from us.
Being down here in the Earth Project, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
none of them had the balls to come down. And I say that all the time. Like you're
Yeah, or maybe I drew the short stick on the Arturian bridge, perhaps. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but yeah.
it's just it's funny. It really is. It's funny. I mean, it's just funny. Like whenever I look back and like it plays out, and then like just even remembering that I'm here, sometimes, and I'm just like, I'm gonna be the one like locked up in a padded room. Like this is it. I was like, is this how it's gonna
Yes.
end? Like this is like me waking up is the is like the downfall, right? So it's like I think I'm waking up, but like is that the illusion, like versus
Yeah.
like the illusion that I'm living in? Like it's such a power play, right? Especially because that doubt does creep in and you're just like, oh.
Yeah. Well,
Like what the
it's a crazy situation. It reminds me of the Chinese poet Zhuangzi, who had this poem, two-line poem, and he said, Am I Zhuangzi dreaming I'm a butterfly, or am I a butterfly dreaming I
I've
am
heard that
Zhuangzi?
one.
Yeah. And it's like both, dude, you're both, right? And that's what can drive you crazy. And it's funny you mentioned the padded room. I have a cartoon I wrote about that, which I haven't drawn yet, but Sobbing Unicorn is starting to talk to his house. And he just goes crazy. And the last frame is him in a padded room, and his straitjacket is now talking to him, saying, you didn't need to come all the way here for a warm hug.
Are
But
you sure you didn't put that one out yet?
no, I don't. No, I haven't drawn that one yet, but it's on my list. I got so many of these. I don't have time to draw them all. But the point about losing your mind in this awakening process is such a real thing that we all face because like the higher realms and what is opening up to us is so beyond anything we have ever even imagined that if you didn't lose your mind, you'd be crazy, right?
Right, right. It's beyond past the logical mind. So
Yes.
I think it's fascinating. I have I'm working with this one person now, and she's like without giving out like so much information, but like she's awakening to like certain things. Like she's like, why do I keep seeing lions? But like, and then she's telling me like what her thing does, and I was like, oh, because you're Lyron, like that's why
Yeah,
you keep seeing the
exactly.
lions. Like you're telling
Exactly.
me that like you're trying to break the truth, and you're trying to like, she's doing this one thing, and I'm like to me that's normal, and she's like, what does that even mean? And I'm like, oh, and now we're gonna get started, but it's like
Yeah.
to me it's like to me I could see it, so it's normal, right? And then even that I start to laugh because I was like, is this normal? Like is this normal?
Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy
um
to think about.
it's bizarre. I wanted to get back to like when did I awaken?
Hmm.
So you awoke during COVID. I don't know. I mean, I was always a huge conspiracy theorist. I was always having these very interesting moments. Like I didn't even realize what astral projection was until recently when somebody said it. But I've been doing that my entire life. I've been doing that. And there was like spots of I want to say like 2014 to 2016 where I was like constantly like my soul felt like it was leaving my body, like the energy pull, the this, that, at that time I was a single parent of two kids and they were 2 and 5. And I was like,
Mhm.
what the hell's going on? Like here I am like experiencing like
Yeah.
all these things. I was like, but I'm all alone with two kids, like in a house. I was like, you can't like be doing this to me. And it was like the energy was so like strong at sometimes that I would like literally sit up in bed and feel like if I let them, like the energy would have like carried me away. So
Yeah.
to me
I
that's
think as a
fascinating.
parent, I think as a parent, like leaving your body is a great solution, because sometimes I hide in my car, but if I could just astral project right out of there, I would. So well done.
But it's just funny. So like all of that was always going on, right? I was always being led to this and led to that and do this and do that. So, and I was always a conspiracy theorist. But was I a conspiracy theorist or was I just knowing the truth, right? I just knew
Right.
the truth ahead of
Yes.
time.
Mhm.
Um, but like I'm like, and I knew that what we were under limitations and I knew we were this, but when did I like really like break open to all of that or just like be able to like stand in that truth, I guess would be around like 2020.
Yeah. I think there was a big wave around that time, even though like people like yourselves have been kind of circulating around those
Yeah.
waves for a while. Something in 2020 happened. But yeah, tip of the cap to, any light workers listening. I know there are many who have been awake forever. And man, props to you guys. I don't know how you've done it.
Oh,
That takes
much props.
tremendous strength, right? To just be sitting there twiddling your thumbs, like, all right, I think
Watching
in 20
humanity.
years, I think 20 years, maybe some more people will wake up. In the meantime, it's just me and cry on. That's it. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know how I would be. I mean, like just being awake, right, you're right, for like the 6 years and even like just the past year alone, or just the past year alone has been so insane and intense that you're just like, Jesus God, like I know like humanity's supposed to awaken. I know there's more like starseeds out there and light workers out there and grid workers out there. Where are they? Because
Yeah.
like you're like, oh my God, like humanity just drives me like insane. Did you like just insane?
Yes, yes. That's the rats though. That
Yeah.
that is one thing that's really helped me is like differentiating between the rats, the rats that have infested the attic, and then those who are sitting in a house where there are rats in the attic. And that's really helped me.
Hmm.
Because yeah, it's easy for sure to get frustrated. And man, we all have that. We have family or friends, and in my cartoon, I have Phil there as a representative of this modality of just being stubbornly asleep, right? Whatever word you want to use. Um, but all in divine timing, right? And I'm here hunting the rats. I'm not here necessarily to shake Phil by the collar.
Right. No, you're here to bring awareness to the rats. How about that? Light to the rats.
I'm here to incinerate the rats,
Yeah.
Nicole.
Oh no, without a doubt. But like for humanity to realize the rats.
I'm not even sure humanity has to do anything. I really
It's
don't.
just you and you're just
This is
gonna
just
take them
no,
out.
no,
I
no, no,
get
no,
that
no,
too.
no, no.
No, no,
It's not
no.
me. It's
About
the
that.
Starseeds and the Lightworkers. What we're doing this is my view, okay? I'm not saying this is objective truth. My
No,
view.
no, go
We're
ahead.
there. There's a contingent of us raising the vibration here, and that is boiling this frog. And we don't need the humans to do it. Now, if they wake up and join us, fantastic. But the frog's getting boiled by the flame that is being ignited by the light workers and the star seeds who are here with boots on the ground. That's enough. And then
Agreed.
once the frog is boiled and the energies lift, then all the humans are going to awaken just as a natural result, kind of like Sleeping Beauty
I
waking up from the
agree.
castle.
Yes. I agree with that. I've had that vision so many times, and it's like they keep bringing
Uh,
me back to like literally that. It's so funny that you said that. Like I'm gonna sit here and be like, it is
yeah,
so
we're the
funny that you
prince
used
with the
that.
shield and the sword, but we're
Uh-huh.
not here to whack Princess Beauty on the head. We're here for the dragon.
Yeah,
If we kill the dragon, the rest is all going to magically work out. And that's what we're doing. And
yeah.
that's with this conversation, like your podcast is doing that. It is spreading that energetic light, which is boiling that frog.
It's funny because like I know like starseeds in general get frustrated with humanity, and I think that's the biggest thing because it's just like, can you just move out of my way so I could like do my mission? Just shh, and stand in the corner while like I
The,
just
the
like continue my mission.
It is frustrating. Again, I love that I'm drawing this rat cartoon today because I think it's very relevant. But when you turn the lights on in the room and the sleeping human sees all the rats all over, they get mad at the person who flipped the lights on,
Uh-huh.
not at the rats, which is a little weird, but that's just human nature, I think. And so as a light worker and as a starseed, you got everybody throwing rocks at you. You got the rats throwing rocks at you.
Mhm.
And then you got the guys who are throwing rocks at you because they're mad you turned the lights on. So star seeds and light workers and anyone who considers themselves on this path, the right hand path, I guess, gosh, I have so much respect for the work that you're doing because you're standing
A
in a
lot.
hailstorm of rocks being thrown at your face. I see that very clearly.
It's well, I mean, you see it very clearly because that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah,
That's exactly what's
right.
going
And
on.
then, right. And then the question is, okay, what do we do? We're having rocks thrown at our face. And this is where I think a lot of us struggle because we want to hide, we want to run. That's a natural reaction. This is not judgment. It's like someone throws a rock, you want to run, you want to put up a shield, you want to but I think we're here to stand in it and take it in the face and hold our light anyway, which is why it hurts. And man, it takes the bravest souls in the universe to do that, to just take the rocks in the face and say, no, we're holding the light anyway. And man, it's beautiful to see. It's inspiring. I'm so honored to be here amongst these powerful, mother effers like yourself. And we're doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah, and it's not easy. And you're right. I mean, like, much respect. I think people like when they do hear us and they're like, oh, they think like they're above us or something because like, they're the light workers and the
Oh,
star seeds. And it's like, no, dude, like our job is like harder than like anything else. Like, believe me, we are not like like raving about this. We're just like,
I've had so many conversations with my wife, who's on the awakening path, right? But I sort of awoke before her. But she struggles with this because I will tell her, I don't want to be here, man. I don't want
mhm,
to be here because this is a place of darkness. And she'll take it, of course, as anyone would. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's an awful thing to say to me, your wife. And I'll say, no, I don't want to be here, but I don't want you to be here either. Like, can we go to one of these spaceships right now and get out of here? Because this is places filled with rats, whether
uh-huh.
you believe me or not. That's how I see it. Um, so yeah, to your point about the light workers having this ego about, oh, I'm here to save you. I think most of us, okay, I'll just speak for myself. It's like, man, I'm here to do a job. I'm here to help. But it's not a fun job. It's not a fun job. It hurts, and we're doing it anyway, and that's a testament.
Yeah, it's funny because I think like the last or one of the videos that I posted went to Facebook, and then I had somebody comment. I had a couple of people comment. And that was the one where they were saying, CPS is going to come take my kids away, but like the fact that like I thought I was above everybody and that I wanted to leave and go home because and I said it's funny because like when I do certain videos, like I say this is for the star seeds, this is for the light workers, like and like list. And if this doesn't resonate with you, then like feel free to like exit. Why are you still listening 14 minutes in, like on my message? But the whole thing is, right? I'm like, I want to go home, and I know I can't go home until I finish my mission. So like please, let me finish my mission and get me the fuck out of here because I don't
Yeah,
want to be in the Earth
yeah,
Project. Like I don't
I
want to
know.
be here. The
I
most
resonate
densest.
very.
It truly is the most
Yeah.
densest place like ever.
Yeah, in my cartoons, I've described it as a hemorrhoid on the
Yeah.
acid. I think it is, and we're the preparation H, believe it or not. But it reminds me of a story once when I asked Source about this, because I, like you, was like, what the heck am I doing here? Why is this? And Source told me a story. So can I tell you this story
Yeah,
right now? Because I know
absolutely. Go
you're
ahead.
Source said to me, and she comes through in a female voice for me, but she said, okay, you're on this road trip. You've packed up your family in the car. You're going to Disneyland and you fight traffic. You get down there, you pull into the parking structure. You're excited. You get out of the car, you start beckoning your family, and you notice that everyone's starting to sit down on the ground in the parking structure. And you're like, what? Wait, no, Disneyland's right over here. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? No, Disneyland's here. Like, shut up. Like, just sit down. And you start getting upset. You're like, no, Disneyland's right there. Can't you see it? It's right there through the gates. I've been there before. I remember what Disneyland is. But the humans are like, no, this is Disneyland. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what
Hmm.
you're talking about. And then they start throwing rocks at you. And then maybe the people you're with start getting upset. Why? Why can't you just enjoy Disneyland? Why do you got to cause all this commotion? And this is kind of what you're talking about. It's like you don't want to be here, but you don't want them to be here anyway because you know where Disneyland is, and you don't want to be sitting in the parking lot, right?
That
Because sitting in
is
the
very
parking
good.
lot,
That was a very awesome
yeah.
message, that the way that that
And
came
then
across.
and then Source wrapped it up for me, and she said, "Look, you feel like maybe you're being unloving by wanting to leave, but actually, it's a proof of your love
Hmm.
that you have sat down in the parking lot with them and said, okay, okay, if you insist on being in the parking lot, I will sit down here with you until you're ready to leave." And that's what we're doing. We're in the parking lot, and we know Disneyland's right over there. All the Starseeds and Lightworkers know it. But for now, we're not eating beautiful Disneyland churros. We're bringing it back to the rats. We're eating fried rats over campfires in the parking structure, looking at some fireworks, through our binoculars.
Yeah, that's a very good yeah. I can't even, like, there's something to say. I'm like, yeah, yeah. Interesting. I mean, like, that's very interesting story. I mean, the only other way that it came across to me is the Sleeping Beauty method, is
Yeah.
that everyone's asleep and like you're just trying to like do everything, and then they get woken up. Or another one was like you're like the movies, like when people are in car crashes or people get like kidnapped and like they're as morbid as this is, get like drugged and kidnapped, and then they wake up and like you're all in a
Yeah.
room and like you're the first one to wake up.
Yeah.
Or like in like a massive
Yeah.
car accident and you're the first one to wake up and everybody else is like laying on the floor and like you're trying to like wake everybody up. Like you're like, get up, get up, get up. Like we
Yes.
got to get up, we got to move. And like but you're the only one there. You're the only one up. So
Yep.
the Disneyland parking lot, is right on point. It's like, guys, like if you could just like look over here, like, and look at what's over
Yes.
here, and we could go there, we could all just leave here and not even like think about it anymore.
I mean, the hypnotism thing is so real. And another metaphor which comes up for me a lot. Sorry if you hear my daughter banging on this door here, trying to get in.
It's
Is
like, that's it,
the
you're out of time.
vampire the vampire metaphor, right? I think Dracula is a perfect example of what's happening here. And how does the vampire, which is a parasite, survive? It has to hypnotize everybody. And just like the vampire, it has to we have to invite it in because the dark doesn't really have any power. It needs to have us invite it into the room before sucking our blood, which it gladly does. And it'll use hypnotism to try to do that. One more cool part of this metaphor is if you're a horror fan, I like that stuff actually, which might feel weird, but
Morbid.
the recent movie Nosferatu, um, at the end of the movie, and this is a spoiler, the main protagonist, heroine, actually defeats Nosferatu, the vampire, by luring him into her bedroom and allowing him to feed on her all night until the sun rises. I think that's a part of what's happening here. I think actually that there's a part of sort of this lure happening where the dark has been lured to this planet and the light is here to sort of let them have their way, and then we're raising the temperature. The sun is coming up, and the vampires being incinerated. That's just a theory. See if it resonates with you. But
No, it's very, I was like, oh, first of all, I mean, I love the beginning half of the metaphor, and I was like, wow, that's a really good metaphor. And then like the fact that like I could see laying in a bed, luring in the vampire and be like, suck on my energy because basically, well, not only is it's just suck on my energy so like you could feel my energy. So it's not like you're literally like stealing it away from me, but like it's going to transform you as well. Like go ahead. You want it so
mm-hmm,
bad, take it.
possibly,
Um,
possibly. But
hmm.
yeah, we're here to incinerate the vampires, and they're very good at hiding in the shadows like the rats. They are completely powerless because they've cut themselves off from source. And so the only power they have is to convince us to fear them and to give our power to them willingly. And that's what all those, I think, soul contracts are, that certain, beings on earth are kind of tricked into signing. There's so much deception and trickery and hypnosis, bringing it back to that. Everything is just everywhere you look in the matrix, it's a trick, it's a deception.
And that's crazy, by the way, being awake and realizing that. Like,
It is yeah, it is a little like waking up in a horror movie. Yes,
hmm,
but the horror movie has a good ending. We're winning, we're gonna win, we already won. The light is rising,
always.
and the trap worked beautifully. The trap worked beautifully. The vampires fell for it, and the sun is coming up.
That's a great that I truly love that metaphor. For some reason I keep going back to like From Dusk Till Dawn was right.
Yeah,
Was that the movie?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
When like yeah. Um but wow, that's great. Okay, I'm gonna end it at this. If you want to hang on like after I stop the recording that like just for 5 seconds, that would be great. But
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm going to say because it is getting late unless you want to keep going. But like we've been on for like an hour and 40, I think, or
Yeah,
maybe like
no,
a little
yeah.
less. But
It's been a
like
great conversation. Thank you so
like,
much
yeah,
for
oh,
having
and
me.
I will more than hands down, like we could do this again. I have no problem with that. But I really want to stress like how amazing your cartoon is and how it really truly hits home, especially for us light workers and starseeds. But I'm sure like anybody on the awakening journey back to self and like really awakening to like, other, filters, right? Like, like the filters
Yeah.
are lifting, the veil is lifting, everything is going, and like you start questioning reality is so totally going to relate to this cartoon as well. Again, TikTok, Sobbing Unicorn. I'm going to put all the information down below and give him mad props because he totally deserves it. And all right, until next time, guys, I'm going to leave you at that. If you want to say anything like on the way out, it's up to you.
Oh,
But
just thank you so much for having me. And I'm
thank
so honored
you.
to be here with you and so honored to connect with the other Lightworkers and Starseeds. Really, I think you guys are the biggest badasses in the universe. And it's just a tremendous honor to be here, shining my light as brightly as I can amongst the rest of you.
I love it. Thank you incredibly so much for being on with me today. And we'll definitely have you back on again. And yeah, man, just keep pumping those out because I mean, incredibly amazing. Like, I mean, incredibly amazing. All right,
Thank you.
guys, until next time, peace out. Love and light, lots of fire coming your way. And just hang tight, guys. Keep the faith because it's not always going to look like this. That's kind of like my new motto. All right, bye.